You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. There is some breaking news here that actually is just now coming down the pike, courtesy of Billy Embody of On3. LSU defensive back Jordan Toles is in the transfer portal. Toles, as Billy Embody noted, played in 6 of the first 7 games a season ago, recorded 12 tackles, but Toles, who has not been present at LSU's practice for an undisclosed reason, we now know what that undisclosed reason is, that he's no longer going to be a part of the LSU program. Toles is interesting because he illustrates what is kind of it's a weird way to say it, but he illustrates what is a good problem to have. This team is very deep at safety. They're very deep at safety. It's been a given, as we've talked about, that the defensive line and receiver are probably the two most talented spots on this team. We've talked so much about defensive line, but interestingly, Brian Kelly, when he met with reporters, said they didn't think they were actually that deep at end, especially with the rush. Well, they've been able to build some depth there with Desmond Little moving to that jack spot behind B.J. Ojulari, and so they've been able to build up depth there, and we're seeing that continue to develop. And there's, of course, Savion Jones and guys that they like a lot, Xavier Carter, Quincy Wiggins coming in. So they've built a lot of depth there. But you look at safety, and my goodness, when they ran out there and they were doing a pursuit drill with the first 11 when they started practice, you had Major Burns and Greg Brooks out there. When we saw them do team drills, you had Major Burns and Mekhi Gardner, and we saw Jordan Allen, the freshman, was from Lafayette Christian, was running around back there at safety as well. You had we saw Joe Fouché get back there later. We saw Sage Ryan took a ton of reps at nickel and like the nickel safety role. I'm pulling on my roster because I have to remember. So I just wrote down jersey numbers like Quad Wilson, who's a transfer from McNeese, was running around back there, and he actually had a really nice pass breakup in the end zone on Kyron Lacey. We saw, some of these names, like I wrote down 47. There's not even a 47 on the roster that I have, so somebody changed numbers. My point is, when you look at what is already a given, when you know you've got Jay Ward and Major Burns and Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché and Sage Ryan, that's 5 guys right there without even mentioning the veteran Todd Harris, who is still out there, but obviously he's battled injuries his whole career. And then you start talking about Jordan Toles and Derek Davis and Matthew Langlois, and then a freshman like Jordan Allen coming in, who we just mentioned. They are so deep at safety. I mean, if your first 2 out there, Major Burns and Jay Ward, which it seems like it is, and you got Greg Brooks in sort of that nickel safety role being backed up by Sage Ryan, that's not even counting Joe Fouché and then the other guys I mentioned. I get it. Like if you're Jordan Toles, you signed in 2020, now you're going into year 3, and we so often say, look, if by year 3 you haven't cracked that rotation, then it's probably not going to happen for you because you got 2 or then 3 more recruiting cycles of talented guys behind you ready to come up and take your spot, i.e. Sage Ryan, Jordan Allen, guys who are very talented coming behind you looking to take a spot. Toles was interesting because he came in 2020, and if you remember, 2020 was the class where Ed Orgeron and his staff recruited nationally. It wasn't a great year in Louisiana, so they had to cast the wide net, and they ended up getting a bunch of guys out of like the D.C., Baltimore, the area. And Toles is from St. Francis Academy, a powerhouse in the Baltimore area. He was a 4-star safety, the number 11 safety in the country. When he picked LSU. And he came here and in 2020 played in 8 games during his true freshman season. Wasn't super productive, but got on the field as a true freshman during the COVID year. Then last year played in 6 of the first 7 games, had 6 tackles against UCLA in the season opener. And then he just sort of lost steam. Of course, Sage Ryan got healthy, came back and played a lot late in the season. Major Burns' injury sort of opened up some opportunities early in the season. But it's just obvious to see right now where this is headed. So Jordan Toles enters the transfer portal. Tigers are down a safety with Toles hitting the portal, but it's a spot where him leaving just feels very, very obvious. There's positions where you have to recruit a lot of numbers, and yes, you play a lot of guys, but when you're not part of a rotation that's that deep, I get why guys leave. So Toles is next. We also didn't see Derek Davis today. I do not know what his status is, but that's another guy in that secondary who's been lost in the shuffle a little bit, who's struggling to find his way on the field. But Jordan Toles leaving LSU. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.